This is the Bringing Business to Retail podcast with Miranda, Ivey from Dotty Media.
Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast on now&nbsp.com. Stay ahead of the competition by opening your doors to business experts so you can learn, grow, and be inspired. Passionate about bringing business strategies to independent retailers, please welcome your host, Selena Knight.
This is the Bringing Business to Retail podcast with Miranda, Ivey from Dotty Media. Well, hello there and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. I'm Selena Knight, your host, the retail strategist, and today we are deep diving into Facebook ads. Yes, I know a lot of people get confused, they get frustrated, they get annoyed, but I have to say my heart loves Facebook. And so does my wallet, because Facebook ads are my main advertising source. And today's guest is Miranda Ivey from Dotty Media. She has a lot of experience when it comes to Facebook ads. And I'll admit we recorded this just before Christmas. So we were talking a lot about things you could do in the lead up to the Christmas period and the post-Christmas period, but it's all perfectly relevant now. And when it comes to tech, I know. Sometimes it just seems to fail you. Personally, this week I've been recording the videos for my new online course that helps you build profits and skyrocket your sales. I'm not going to tell you anything else about it yet because I want to keep it a little bit of a secret, but OMG, on Monday, I was ready to go. On Sunday, I set everything up. I got all the lighting done. I had all the scripts written. I had them all loaded up to go on Monday. Because I had 3 days. Lana was in vacation care for 3 days. So I thought that gives me loads of time to record, to do some editing, to do all the things that need to be done when you record videos. So Monday morning, I get up, I do my hair and makeup. I had a coaching call, so I did that. And then I was ready to go. 6 hours of filming, and I didn't have a piece of useful footage. It was enough to make me cry. Just everything went wrong. On one take, the mic managed to just pop out of the camera, so it didn't pick up any audio. In another one, I clearly bumped the camera, so half of my head was missing. And even though I was doing like test takes, and they seemed to work fine, just everything went wrong. And the worst part was each of these videos goes for between 15 and 30 minutes. So I would record the whole video only to find out it didn't work. It was an absolute nightmare. But I woke up the next morning determined to get it done. And you wouldn't believe it, I managed to get all the videos done in about 2.5 hours. They just worked. So I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes if it doesn't work the first time, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worth doing, especially when it comes to tech. And I have to admit, Facebook ads does the same thing. Sometimes it just glitches out. Sometimes, no matter what you do, you just can't seem to get it to work properly. But I promise you, if you follow the tips that Miranda has in today's podcast, you will make Facebook ads work for you. And today's episode is brought to you by my 3 days to your most profitable year ever. If you missed out over the last 3 episodes, I walked you through the 3 days that you can take to make this year the one that just makes your cash register ring. Do you know what? It's not particularly hard. It takes a bit of time and it takes planning. And I'm going to walk you through the exact strategies that I use with my one-on-one clients that we put in place in order to increase their sales. And you can grab that over at selenaknight.com/3 days. That's the number 3 days. selenaknight.com/3 days to get the 3 videos and the 3 downloads that will help you create your most profitable year ever. And now to today's guest, Miranda Ivey. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. Today, we are delving deep and talking all about Facebook ads with the gorgeous Miranda Ivey from Dotty Media. If you have any questions that you've ever thought of about Facebook ads, I'm pretty sure that Miranda is going to answer them for you because she is a guru when it comes to this stuff. So welcome to the show, Miranda.
Hi, thanks for having me. As you can tell, I'm a little bit croaky today, so sorry about that.
That's okay. I think it just adds to our Australian sexy accent thing that the people abroad like to hear.
That's fine by me.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what you do and how you came to specialize in Facebook ads.
That's a great question because I really didn't think I would specialize in Facebook ads. So I've been running Dotty Media for almost 4 years now, and started it with my business partner Angela. We actually played roller derby together. She started it. We both did B school, and during that sort of process, she invited me to join her at Dotty Media. So I specialized in website design and email marketing and social media. And I really sort of wasn't that interested in Facebook ads. She did the Facebook ads, and I was like, oh, yeah, you just make the magic happen. That's fine. But it wasn't until I came back from having my baby last year that I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I started to, really kind of skill up on it. And it was the fact that you can just see the results that, is so tangible that it made me kind of fall a little bit crazy in love with Facebook ads. So that's what I've been doing for about the past 18 months now. Really just working with clients to, work out what their goals are and how we can use Facebook ads to get them there.
How cool is it that you can get such, almost instantaneous results? You can either you can know straight away whether something's working. And when I say straight away, I'm talking 24, 48 hours. You've got some kind of indication about whether your campaign's actually working, compared to if you're running an ad in the newspaper, you have no idea if anybody's reading it. You have no idea if anybody's interacting with it.
Yeah, that's totally true. And I love how you added the 24 to 48 hour turnaround, because I think everybody just goes, oh, is it working? Oh, has anyone seen my ad yet? And I think you'll find, once you get used to it, is that, like, for a lot of us, the activity is going to be happening overnight, particularly in the retail space. I'm running some e-commerce ads at the moment, and nothing happens during the day. But, once the kids go to bed, it's a totally different story from like 7:30 p.m. onwards.
Yep, I have the same thing. Like, whenever I run lead generation, like checklist, opt-ins and things like that, they all come from about 7 p.m. till about 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's so weird, isn't it? Like, and we want it to be happening when we're awake, but, it's so much better if you just let them sit, just kind of let them be for a few days. I mean, obviously, if you've got a high budget and nothing's happening, then yeah, turn that off. But, just kind of let it be. Let Facebook do its work. It's got to find those right people for you.
I know. I feel like sometimes just saying step away from the ads. One of my clients just recently was running her own little ad as a test to see how it works. And I always love to say to people, I want you to give it a try for a couple of reasons. One is, you'll see it is not that easy. It's the reason that people charge a lot of money to maintain your Facebook ads is because there's a lot of background involved. But I also want you to have a feel of what should be the norm, like, what's clicks and what's links. And I kept getting these messages, so far I've spent $17 and I have no sales. I'm like, it's just step away from the Facebook ads.
That's it. But I think it's also, you touched on a really good point there of, like, people wanting it to be the world's most amazing bank. Like, I spent $17. Why haven't I made 1,000 yet? It's like, Facebook ads don't really work like that. And I sometimes call myself a bit of the bearer of bad news. I mean, I still think it's a pretty amazing bank if you can put $1 in and get a return on your ad spend of like $3 to $4. That's some pretty good returns. But people, sorry everyone out there, but it's not going to be put $1 in and make 50. Unless you got the world's most amazing ads manager, maybe.
Like you and I. No.
Yeah.
But I think what people fail to not necessarily grasp, but you see all these things like, I spent $1,000 on Facebook ads and I made 20,000. And I know I love Ezra Firestone dearly, but I have my clients who come up and say, Ezra Firestone said he did $25 million last year. And I'm like, yeah, but he spent $12 million in ads.
Exactly.
Appreciate the fact that that's like, that's a double your investment. Yes. And who won't take that every single day of the month? But he put $12 million in.
It's so true. I mean, and I think we, like it is scary, Facebook ads. It's scary because we don't know what's going to happen, and I know that, like with the knowledge of understanding how it works, you feel so much more comfortable spending that kind of money, I guess. $12 million is amazing.
Yeah.
But, you do need to spend money to make money when it comes to Facebook ads.
And you do need to also realize that he didn't get to $12 million ad spend to $25 million profit on his first ad. Like, it takes lots of testing and measuring. And I think a lot of people get very jaded when they hear those stories and they're like, but I ran ads and nothing converted. So I want to ask you, what is the first place that you start when it comes to creating a Facebook ads campaign?
I was just thinking about Ezra Firestone just then, and what I was just thinking was the fact that if I were, someone in the retail space, I'd be going onto his business websites, putting some stuff in my cart and getting retargeted and seeing how he advertises to you.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to get him on the show next year. I've put a call out, so fingers crossed.
I hope you get him on too. But, I see that as a really good place to start, kind of, particularly going onto competitors' websites or people in your industry, clicking around, adding things to cart. And then, if they've got it set up right, you're going to get retargeted with ads within Facebook because they've got that, pixel tracking code on the website so that they're then able to show you those ads within the Facebook platform. So that's a really good place. And, Ange and I always joke the fact that, our phones are filled of screenshots because all we're doing is kind of seeing how other people are doing. I do it all day. I'm like, well, that's a good ad. That made me want to click.
And then do you click on the little arrow up the top that says, why did I see this? And you're like, oh, what targeting are they using?
Yeah, totally. But, I think the first place is targeting is definitely essential to any campaign, but having good creative and really being clear on those results of, where you're taking people, what action you want them to take. Are you expecting people to go from knowing nothing about you, being like a completely cold audience, to then spending $200 on a dress? Well, they're going to need a bit of persuasion, aren't they?
Yeah. So, and they're probably not going to do it on the first click.
They're probably not going to do it. So that's where retargeting comes into play. But I whenever I audit someone else's ads, I'm usually saying, like, you're expecting me to make so many decisions about your business in this one ad. You're expecting me to kind of go from not knowing who you are to feeling comfortable in spending money with you and, crossing over all those buying decisions in one ad. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, unless they already knew the product. Like, I'm saying it's a generic, it's a brand that they already knew and you just happen to stock that thing. So unless they've already researched the product and they know that they want it and you happen to stick it in front of them, like you said, otherwise they're going to have to work out who you are. They might come to your website and browse around at everything else and they may still not buy straight away.
Yeah, and that's where the amazing power of retargeting comes into. So in any campaign, it's a matter of kind of, like you said, sort of getting over those initial hurdles. If they don't know who you are, getting them to your website in the first place. But once they get there, that's called a warm audience. So that's where you definitely want to be using retargeting. And anyone with a website can set this up. Anyone with a website and a Facebook ad account. So if you've ever boosted a post, you can set up your Facebook pixel as well. And that's retargeting people when they come back to Facebook. And that's where your money's going to really be made for the most part, particularly in e-commerce. Facebook syncs super well with Shopify and WooCommerce. Within like a matter of clicks, you're actually able to then show ads to people who have added to cart, what they actually added to their cart, what they forgot on your website that they haven't purchased yet.
Don't we love that?
It's amazing. It's seriously
it's
kind of a little bit freaky, but yeah.
It is freaky, but it's like, you've already looked at this. Hey, don't forget.
I do it all the time. It's almost like a bit of a shopping list for me. Like, I'm going to add that to cart. You better remind me on Facebook.
I love it. So you were talking here. Let's just take this back to basics. You were talking about warm audiences. So can you just give us like a quick overview about what a cold audience is, what a warm audience is, and what, say, a hot audience is?
Yeah, for sure. So a cold audience, obviously, they're called cold because they've never heard of you before. So that's where you might be using your interest-based targeting, people interested in yoga or people interested in, particular magazines or blogs, and you're targeting them that way. You can also use lookalike audiences in that way. And that's where you've set up a custom audience, which is we'll go into in a moment, and then said to Facebook, hey, can you show me, can you find me a 1% of that audience to show my ad to? It's called a lookalike audience. It's kind of like taking the heavy lifting out of coming up with your ideal customer avatar yourself, because you're using information that you already have on the Facebook platform. So whether it's, people who have visited your website or your mailing list, you're able to upload them into Facebook, and they're called custom audiences. So that's what I'd call a warm audience. So people who have had some sort of interaction with your brand or business before. So a warm audience can be, like I said, your website visitors, they can be your mailing list, they can be your page post engagement, people who have watched over a certain percentage of your videos. A new one that's come out this year is people who have interacted with your Instagram profile. So that's a pretty big one, particularly for a lot of businesses who come to me and they've got this amazing Instagram following of like 20,000 and then like 500 people on Facebook. So we're able to, target those people. If Facebook's able to match them, able to target those people from Instagram over on Facebook. So that's a warm audience, anyone who's interacted with your brand or business before. And then we've got our hot audience. So they're going to be they're your purchasers. They're the people who have just purchased from you. And then you might set up a bit of a campaign trying to get them back on your website. Maybe you're going to offer them like another special or another discount in order to make them buy again, because, they're your hottest customers. They've just bought from you. So why wouldn't you then capitalize on that again?
Yeah, and we also like that retargeting there if they had extra things in their cart that maybe they took it out too, so they didn't end up purchasing. It's like, why didn't they end up purchasing? Maybe on the day they just didn't have enough money, or they weren't quite 100% sure, but it doesn't mean that they won't come back if you stick it in front of them.
Exactly. And I'm always surprised at how many businesses aren't yet doing that. It's
I would
not
think a lot.
It's true. Like, I sometimes just go onto businesses' websites and just add things to cart, like I said, to be retargeted on Facebook. And then when I'm not, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
You are missing out on a lot of money.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So I know that you have a little secret about the easiest ad there is to create. So would you like to share that secret with the listeners?
What did I say?
Oh, about using. See, we should have. We don't like prep these questions beforehand, guys. We are just thrown out at the guests, and they just like, what am I talking about? It was about your utilizing good engaged page posts.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I just kind of had a mental blank. I'm going to blame having a cold with that one. So yeah, this is one that I've seen actually, and I saw another e-commerce client doing this amazingly lately. So essentially, it's a pretty simple strategy where, you'll post on your Facebook page like you would anything. Maybe it's going to be, it's going to link to a particular product, not your homepage. Please don't be posting to your homepage. People still do that. I can't get over it. And, you're getting some good engagement. What you can do then is actually boost that post. If it's already kind of proven to have that organic reach, boost it. Put some money on it. I'm talking not heaps, $20, $50. And then you can actually grab that post and use it as a conversion ad as well. So boosted posts aren't designed to send traffic to your website, but they're awesome for getting social proof. If you then grab that post, and set up a conversion ad in the back end using Ads Manager or Power Editor, you're actually starting at such a higher level when it comes to that post, because we're social beings. Don't you just love seeing those posts on Facebook that's got 1,000 shares and 500 comments? You're like, what is this about?
And you're talking about kind of like a little two-part strategy here, aren't you? You're kind of like saying just. We always say don't boost a post, but you've got a reason that you're saying that. You're saying boost it to get a little bit more social proof because it's already doing well, but then head over to your Power Editor and there's a secret little place where you can actually choose a post that's on your page. So the ad is almost written for you. It's just literally sucking that out and all that social proof comes with it.
Exactly. So when you go to, at the ad level, instead of create new posts, just next to that, it doesn't even look like a button. So I guess they're kind of hiding it.
Yeah,
You
it's a
can
bit
click on
sneaky.
use existing post, and then you'll get a drop down of all the posts on your page, and you'll just select it there. And, in terms of sort of just like, so many reasons why this is a good strategy. And that's, like social proof is great, likes, comments and shares. We all love to see them, but it's also already got a bit of data behind it for Facebook to start, trying to find the right type of people to engage with and click through and buy from you. So, you're not starting from scratch. And, like we said, sort of the first 24, 48 hours, usually a little bit quiet when it comes to Facebook ads. But, these types of posts can be good straight out the gate.
Because you already know that there's a good chance they're already converting. If you've already sold some of those things that you put the post up about, then you already know that people are reacting and they are engaging and they're like, yes, they want this thing. So I love your strategy, because it's like you don't even really have to know how to use Facebook ads. Just write a great post and then go in, use this existing post. And what I'll do in the show notes is I'll take a little screenshot of where that is, because it is a little bit hidden if you don't know where it is. And you just press go. You choose who you want to target and you press go and put your money in there.
Yeah, 100%. I love doing that. Or just grabbing other posts from the page that have worked really well and showing them to different audiences in Ads Manager. Like it's a simple kind of strategy. Same goes if you've had an Instagram post go really well, publish it over to Facebook, see how it goes, and maybe use that as your ad as well. Like we've got so many things available to us that we kind of, don't have to go into Ads Manager and go, oh God, got to write an ad now, which is what everyone does. And then they get all stiff and stilted and it doesn't sound like them and the ad doesn't work and they're go, Facebook ads don't work. And I'm like, but you do all this amazing posting on your page. Let's use that.
All right. So speaking of it doesn't work, tell me your tips for making the most out of your Facebook ads budget. Like, where should you start and what should you do to make sure that you get the best return on investment?
Are we talking sort of, jumping in sort of Ads Manager Power Editor side of things?
I think so. I think we've talked about creating some audiences. We've talked about the easiest way to create a post. So let's get a little bit more technical now and say you've moved to the point where you're comfortable with spending some money. Yeah. So how do you make the most of that money and how do you manage it?
Yeah, well, okay, so going back to what I said earlier, being really clear on what the goal is for the ad. One ad isn't going to solve all your problems. So being really clear and also sort of knowing sort of those average conversion rates, like I said, sort of going for that 3 to 4 times return on ad spend is a good, reasonable place to start. Even 2 times return on the ad spend, you put $1 in, got $2 back. So being clear from the outset is going to help you. And then, making sure that you've got that creative to back you up, as I said, sort of having a few ideas, looking around, seeing what else is going on in the industry. But then when it comes to sort of setting up and maybe running a few different ad sets with different ads in them, I love to always, depending on how many campaigns you have on at the one time, but if you've just got one, I love doing sort of like one ad set to warm audiences and then another one to your cold. So that way you're sort of able to measure them and using the same ads in each ad set, but so that you're actually able to kind of, you're not wasting anything that you've already done on Facebook, which is what I tell people. If they're not targeting their warm audiences, and there might be reasons that you're not, but for most people, if you're not targeting your warm audiences, so your website visitors, your video viewers, your page post engagement, you're kind of just wasting your money a little bit because you've already done all this great engagement. So you may as well show them something to then take them a bit further down the line and purchase from you. So I love to, split those out, making sure that, probably equal budget depending on the size of the audiences. And then I might go and add in a few more cold audiences depending on what the goals of the campaign are. So obviously after sort of that 24, 48 hour period, you're going to jump back in. Some of your ads are going to be performing better than others. So you want to make sure that you're turning off those underperforming ads and potentially the ad sets that aren't performing as well. And when I say performing, a general rule of thumb, depending on what it is that what you're selling or offering. Going for a link click cost of around $1 is good. Under $1 is great for like blog posts and traffic and that type of thing. And also going for a click-through rate of above 1%. If it's under 1%, it means that sort of lots of people are seeing your ad, but they're not actually taking any action. So making sure that you're going for sort of above 1% always when it comes to your ad sets and your ads means that you're going to be getting the best return for your budget.
And you spoke earlier about, the $200 dress. I think one of the things that people get a little bit jaded about is realizing that it may cost $300 to sell the first $200 dress because Facebook needs someone to buy the thing to know who they should be targeting.
Yeah, but that's where like coupons and offers and discounts, do come into play, particularly if, say, you're an e-commerce store and you already offer people 10% off if they give you their email address. Think about it this way. If they make a purchase, you're going to be getting their email address anyway. So why wouldn't you put that type of offer in your Facebook ad?
Well, we have different theories on the old 10%, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. But
no, I don't believe in discounts, but yeah. Have that type of offer on their website.
Yeah, you're just saying just make the offer. My biggest thing about 10% is, to me, it is never a big enough amount to make somebody buy who already wasn't going to buy.
Oh, totally. But I'm saying, like, one was for another client, it was $15 off your first purchase over $50.
Yeah. That sounds like so much more.
It does. And so, it's like, well, why wouldn't we put that in an ad, particularly like a retargeting ad where it's like people have come to the website, they haven't purchased, they may or may have signed up to your, mailing list, but at the end of the day, you're going to get their email address when they purchase from you. So it's like, may as well offer it to them again. And it's just to get people to take that action to click over. But yeah, 10%, you're right, is pretty small these days.
Yeah. So you talked earlier about depending on the size of the audience. What do you think is a good size audience to target?
Where are your listeners mainly based?
So America is about 65%, and in Australia about 25%, and the rest of the world is however many percent are left over.
Okay, cool. Because it does vary. So in the US, obviously there's such a bigger population on Facebook. So a lookalike audience, when you create a 1% lookalike audience of the US, it's 2 million people. And that's based on 1% of the 200 million who are on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So that can be a good sized audience in the US because you need to show your ad to lots of people in order for it to get some sort of traction. In Australia, it's a bit different. When you create a lookalike audience, it's 160,000 people because we've got a Facebook population of 16 million. So we tend to say sort of anywhere upwards of 100,000 in Australia is a good size audience. Now that is going to change if you're just targeting a local area, like you're a local business with a Facebook page and you want people to come into your local store. So, it will vary depending on where it is that you're targeting, but sort of around that 2 million mark in the US and upwards, or in Australia, 100,000 and above.
Cool. That is really handy for people to know, because I know a lot of people think, if they are targeting somewhere and it's 50,000, they're like, oh, I don't know if that's big enough. But it depends on what you're selling and who you want to target. Maybe you've got a really niche product. Toothbrushes for horses. Like, there's only so many people. I don't know if they exist. I'm sure they do. But, there's only a certain number of people who that product is going to appeal to.
Exactly. But it is good not to go too niche. And I think that's, been a big change coming out of sort of Facebook land and the Facebook world, is the fact that, it used to be sort of like separate out all your interests and, really kind of niche down. You don't want to target everyone. Whereas these days, the understanding that I have and, from what I've learned is the fact that the Facebook algorithm is so much smarter than we'll ever be. So it is better to go broader rather than super, super niche. So adding, and by niche, I mean like adding in all those interests so that, you've gone from a potential audience size of like 150,000 down to like 20, but they're all going to be really interested in your product, because we don't know, as much as we kind of can think about our ideal customer and we can go, oh, they'll be interested in this or that. it's so much better to kind of let Facebook do its best and sort of give it a quality ad, show it to lots and lots of people, and you're going to see better results. Sometimes when, sort of I've tried a bunch of different audiences and, I've got an ad that's got, really good social proof, I might just open it up to all the women in Australia, and
just see what
show
happens.
my ad to that many people to test and sort of see, and sometimes you can get really good results when you just go, hey, Facebook, this ad has, so much data on it already, likes, comments, shares, and conversions. Why don't you go find me some good people for this?
And that's what you're paying for, isn't it? That's what you're paying for Facebook to work out in the background. So if you're running your ad for something like link clicks and nobody's clicking on it, then Facebook doesn't have any data to analyze. Or if you're doing conversions and only one person's purchased, it kind of needs a little bit more juice in the tank.
Exactly. And that's why sometimes it can be good to optimize for initiate checkout, just so that, like more people are going to get to that point in your funnel and then convert. So then you're still able to, have that conversion data in there as well. But yeah, definitely and I'm not saying like, oh, run every ad to everyone. What I'm saying is if you've got a good ad that has lots of data behind it, that's when you might want to open it up to a super broad audience. I wouldn't do that, with a totally new ad that had no data behind it, because yeah, like you just said, Facebook doesn't know who to show it to.
I like that. Now, the big question that everybody listening is thinking is, how much money do I have to spend on my ad? Where do I start?
It's how long is a piece of string? I'm going to do a blog post just to let people know how much money we've spent just on list building this year that's seen no return, because I think it just comes down to the fact that we all want to spend money and make money straight away. So it really comes down to, what your goals are for the ad, what the cost of the product is, what you're willing to spend in order to get that product, to get it in front of the right people. So, have a look at that and maybe scale back your dreams slightly. But, say you've got, $10 a day to spend over a month period. Well, what's your goal going to be? What's your average cost of, sale? If it's normally $20 and spending $10 a day isn't going to get you to where you want to go, is it? So it really, I guess the other thing to think about is the fact that we're not running ads. Most people aren't running ads all the time. So if you break it down to, okay, well, I'm going to run ads for 2 weeks. Over that 2 weeks, I'm happy to spend, up to, let's say $30 a day. So we're spending about $420 during that period. I hope to make X amount in return. It just contains it so much more. So I love to break it down on a day-by-day basis. I don't know how you do it, Sal, but I just love to go, okay, well, this is how long my campaign's going to be. I'm going to spend X, I'm happy to spend X amount per day, $10, $20 per day. That's going to be my overall budget during that time. So I don't have a hard and fast rule for how much do I need to spend on Facebook ads. It's how much you feel comfortable with. And also knowing some of those conversion costs and that type of thing in your business will really help inform that down the track.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit like you. I just work out. I've been doing this so long that you kind of know what a good number is for a conversion. So if it's getting someone on your email list, if it's under $5, I'm happy. As long as it sits under that, it's all good. And if it's a conversion, like a lot of my clients sort of work on about $20 a conversion. Obviously, that completely depends on the product. But if we're talking a $100 sale, they know that it's going to cost about $20, which means if you want to sell $500 worth of product, then you're going to have to spend $100 on ads because you spend $20 to make $100. So there is a mathematical calculation that you can do it. But I think when you've been doing it for a while, you just kind of get a handle on what is an acceptable amount of money for you to spend in order to make that sale.
Yeah, 100%. And people, I think we also get the Facebook ads platform can be very overwhelming. So kind of you run your campaign, you never want to look at it again. But I'd encourage people to jump back in there and have a look at that data. Like you just said, it cost me $20 for that purchase and I made X amount in return. It just means that you've got something to go next time. Okay, cool. Well, if it's going to, like you just said, if it's going to cost me this much, well, I'll spend this much.
Yeah.
It is mathematical. It's amazing how mathematical it is. And when people try and go, well, actually, no, I want a 10 times return on my ad spend, I'm like, well, I don't know anyone who's getting that right now.
Not even Ezra.
Not even Ezra. You see, he's getting a 2 to 1. Like,
yeah, but people just get so flummoxed, I think, and so so overwhelmed by the numbers. But let's be honest, if you can put $1 in and get $2 back, assuming your cost of goods is acceptable in that margin, then most people would do that day in, day out. I'll give you $1 if you give me 2. Sure.
And you made a good point there, particularly in the retail sector, of the fact that cost of goods does need to, be taken into consideration. I have a current e-commerce client, and it was, a close to a 6 times return on his ad spend for the month. And he's like, but I still didn't make any money. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, and that is, like you said, it's mathematical. It all comes down to what can I afford to spend in order to sell this product. But I sort of flip it on its head and say, but will you sell any if you don't do any marketing? Because once somebody's bought from you, they now become in that warm and hot audience, and you can just retarget to them so much cheaper. But if you never get them, and so sometimes you've got to look a little bit further than just the first sale. You've got to look at that lifetime value. And I know we're getting some people just like, oh, Sal, it was all going well until you started talking about lifetime value. But you do have to look at what you're selling and how likely is someone to come back. And will the next thing that you sell them be cheaper?
Yeah, exactly. I liken, Facebook ads, excuse me, a bit like a tap. When I'm running them, I feel like, there's inquiries coming in and this and that. Even if people aren't necessarily purchasing the exact thing that I'm advertising to them, turn the ads off and I hear crickets.
Oh, I know. And I remember I had this conversation on the podcast. If you're a regular listener, I think it was in August. And I was telling everybody how so overwhelmed I was. I had so much work on and I'd switched off my marketing. And I remember saying in August, I know that in September, I am going to regret it, because you need to be constant, like you said, the tap. You need to be filling up that bucket, because not everybody is going to buy from you. And sure enough, end of September came and all the work I was busy with had finished.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be scrambling around trying to get more customers. So I like that idea of the tap, because sometimes you can just turn the volume down a little bit and reduce the amount of money that you're spending, but still keep the people ticking over. And then sometimes you can turn it up and flood your bucket with people. I'm not great with analogies.
But it is true. I mean, if you find that, if people are finding that they run the ads and they're not getting those types of results, then, I'd probably be looking at the creative and what the offer is in those ads more than anything, because it might be that you're just not offering the right type of thing for your audience. Because, like we said, if you're not doing Facebook ads, well, what are you doing for your marketing?
Yes. And
are you measuring those results? Because I think as business owners, we get so caught up in the business that we forget to market.
Now, speaking of creatives, and when we talk about creatives, we're talking about your copy and your pictures. So your words and your pictures and how you put those together. So speaking of creatives, which is a term that we like to use, what do you think makes really eye-catching creative?
In terms of images, bold colours really stand out in the newsfeed. It makes us stop the scroll, right? It makes us kind of go, oh, what's this all about? But it is so good to test different things. I actually got my designer to make me some ugly ads.
I love ugly ads. I love ugly ads.
Can you just make me ones that you're a bit like, these are a little bit on the nose in terms of design, and I just want to test them, and they perform spectacularly.
I think I've said this in the past. I do these videos. I quite often get inspiration when I'm walking the dog, and I get to just the top of the hill as I walk down to home, and I'm like, oh, I have to pull my phone out and start Facebook Living. And I end up turning those into ads because they perform so well, and I'm all sweaty, and I always show a picture of the dog, and for all intents and purposes, those are really bad ads.
Well, but also think about it. In terms of creative that's going to work in the newsfeed, it's native, it's natural. Our job as advertisers is not to stick out. Our job is to blend in with that conversation that's going on between people's family and friends. So you've really got to think about that. And I think sometimes, it's just like, my ad needs to look like an ad and I need to be like a big guy. It's like, you don't. Like you said, the natural things can work really well. A bit of movement. I've seen some awesome boomerang ads for, retail. So that's that app that you can get that's associated with Instagram. And just that little bit of movement can capture people's attention.
That's the one where it kind of goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously particular niche target audiences, but it's amazing the fact that we just want to see real stuff in the newsfeed. So when it comes to creative, I'm trying to go, away from the stock photos, even away from the super kind of perfect looking promo photos, kind of, maybe the ones that maybe they took on the iPhone or something. I'm not saying, you need to completely disregard all kinds of like high-end creative, but, if people are small business owners, you don't need to spend the earth when it comes to it. In terms of video, video does still need to be, good sound, good quality picture, even if it is just an iPhone. Nobody wants to watch anything that's pixelated, let's be honest. Yeah. But we are so used to sort of that kind of shaky footage that, we see it on the news at night. We see it all through our feeds. We're not totally averse to seeing that type of thing. But, good sound, good lighting are just two of the absolute musts when it comes to video. Yeah. And also getting it captioned.
Yeah, I was going to say, and captions if you're talking.
Yeah, so over 80% of people are watching video without sound. So, using a service like rev.com to submit your video file to and get that returned to you for $1 a minute. It's amazing.
Yeah, and even if you're just talking product, if you're not talking at all, you can still use those captions to talk about your product as well. And then people don't have, because the music, it just might just be music in the background, but sometimes you need to describe what's happening to the person who's watching.
Yeah. And I mean, don't we all love those like hyperlapse ones too, where it's just like, they're cooking and it's really fast. Or, like they're
think the same. I was thinking the same thing, the cooking videos where it says 1 egg. And clearly this person has 1 egg.
Yeah, but even, thinking about it from like a product or retail perspective, like showing someone using your products in a really fast way, or unpacking a present and they're really excited by the fact that they're, got the present in the mail or something. Like movement is just so underrated. And I just was sort of scrolling through my feed just before and I was, I can't wait to watch the latest Air New Zealand Christmas video that they put out on Facebook, because those guys do video so well.
Yes, we have to give big kudos to Air New Zealand. And if it does come out before this goes live, I'll make sure to put a link in the show notes. But I have a question for you. I actually just read this somewhere recently. It was probably someone like Rick Mulready or John Loomer, who are great people to follow in terms of Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And it was about how I'm sure it was a he doesn't use video ads to retarget. So he uses video ads to get you to engage with the ad. Mm-hmm. And like you were saying earlier, this 2-pronged strategy. So get you in to engage with the ad. And then when he retargets you, it's with a static ad. And it's probably a more product-based ad. Yeah. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, great strategy. And I do it often. Particularly like running, and thinking about it in terms of that sort of awareness of who you are type thing. So, you use a video up front because there's more opportunity for them to engage with your brand or your business. They start to get to know you, they hear your voice or they see your products in use and that type of thing. It captures them sort of quite early on in the piece. They don't even have to take any action apart from watching some part of that video in order for you to retarget them. So they don't have to click out to your website. You're not asking them for their email address. You're not asking them to do anything. All you're saying is, hey, here's this high quality piece of video content that you might be interested. It's engaging. And then down the line, you can retarget, you can create those custom audiences within Ads Manager, retargeting people who have watched over a certain percentage of your video. So 25%, 50% is a good one because they're kind of like engaged, they've been there long enough. And above. So, and you're taking them to the next step. So they watch the video about the product, we'll remind them about the product.
Seems kind of obvious, doesn't it? But I think so many people fall down on the reminding them about the product.
Totally. Totally. I see, like particularly if you're in the business of creating content, it's like use that content, shout it, use it, shout it everywhere, and then also retarget people.
Send people to your information and then sell to them afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, same. You can use the same strategy with like a blog post. So, you run a traffic ad to a blog post, to your website. People click on that. You're not asking them for their email address. You're not asking them to do anything. Just, hey, I've got this awesome content. Come read it. It's going to be of value to you. But then, you've been on my website. I'm going to retarget you with a product ad. But it just makes sense.
I know they don't see it like that. It's not like when they've joined your email list and then you're like, hey, buy something from me. It's so much more subtle than, and it's that activating the reticular activation system in your brain, which is the thing where when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. When you go to a website, all of a sudden that website's poking up everywhere in your Facebook ad feed. And it's just the touch points that you're getting to get people to come back again and again.
Exactly. And people still complain to me about this. They're like, I was on this website and then this website, then they popped up and offered me something on Facebook. And I'm like, and it's called marketing.
Yeah. But they're stalking me. No, they're not. Well, yes, they are, but no, they're not.
But what I love, like I said, it's a little bit creepy, but I love the fact that we all have the power now. It's not just for big businesses. Every small business owner can do these things.
Yes, and that's what I love about Facebook ads and Instagram ads is it's open for everyone. You can spend as little as $5 a day and you can be putting your brand out there. It's not like the realm of big business who take out full-page ads in glossy magazines and things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of big businesses still aren't doing Facebook ads very well. So there is still space in this sector. I think there's still time. You haven't missed the boat if you're not doing this already.
Can I just jump in quickly and tell you a very, very quick story? Last night, at time of recording, I went to my husband's Christmas party and it was on a boat because you said you haven't missed the boat.
Oh, I saw those photos. You look great.
It was very windy. I had my hair done and I don't know why I paid to get my hair done because it was up in the air everywhere. Anyway, this boat was filled with quite high-level IT people. And I have been hassling my husband, and I'm just looking around the room. I feel like I'm talking out of school. I have been hassling him for a very long time because he is the APAC manager for his company to use Facebook ads to target like the CEOs of certain companies. And I'm like, this is the bonus of Facebook ads is we can just target the CEO of a department store. Because we go for the person who has the title CEO and they work at this place. As long as that place is big enough for Facebook to recognize, then we can go and target these people. And IT people do not understand Facebook ad. It is the biggest oxymoron in the world. Like these people are so invested in the internet and yet they refuse to acknowledge that something as simple as Facebook ads might make them money. So
yeah. And it's also an understanding of, one thing that we haven't really touched on is, the Facebook ad, creative, copy, amazing, but where you take them is so important as well. I was kind of almost having a fight with this web design company in Adelaide over, a client's landing page because I'm like, it's not converting. You need to make changes to it because Facebook ads will tell us that.
Yes, exactly.
And you need to sort of go, okay, well, where am I taking someone from this ad? Am I taking them to the homepage? What decisions do they have to make on the homepage? Is there a better place where I can take them? Do I take them to a collections page, or is it better that I take them to that specific product page? And those are the very important decisions, that I think the IT industry probably are a little bit behind on, as well as the fact that not only do they work, but you need to have that clear path for people when they come from a Facebook ad.
Yeah. And everybody's on Facebook. All you IT people were out there last night snapping yourselves on Facebook. So this is what I was trying to explain to him, that social platforms can be used for business. And it's funny that so many sections of business in so many places just overlook it. So retailers, you're smart. You have the option, like you said, to get in now. Because the longer it goes on, the more expensive ads become because everybody realizes that it's a great place to market.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, right now it is expensive, lead up to Christmas, coming off Black Friday. It is expensive, but you can, plan out next year, plan out from January onwards. What are you doing that's not going to be so expensive, running ads at such an expensive time of the year?
Okay, you have given us so many great tips, but I would love to know, what are let's say your top 2 things that people can go and do right now to get the most of out of their Facebook ads?
Okay, so number 1 would definitely be, creating all those custom audiences. So going to Ads Manager, going to All Tools, going to Assets, going to Audiences, and creating those custom audiences for yourself. Your website visitors, mailing list if you haven't uploaded it already. Page post engagement is a really good one for your Facebook page, video views, and Instagram profile. So the next time you go to an ad, when you are creating and you're selecting audiences, you can actually type in all of those. So that would be number 1. And number 2 would just be, before you run your next Facebook ads campaign, grab a sheet of paper or, open up a new document on your computer and just start writing down, your goals for the campaign, some ideas for creative, ideas for copy, and how you're going to take people from not knowing anything about you or not necessarily, or maybe having been on your website but, haven't purchased, to then purchasing with you. How can you do it to them, essentially? Because that's how I start any Facebook ad campaign, is I actually kind of go, here's my budget and here's my, goals for the campaign, and here's a few different types of copy, so I can just spend time before I even jump into Ads Manager and freak out, and also, like I said, start taking screenshots. I know that's 3, but
no, that's okay. I'm like you. I have so many saved posts and screenshots on my phone and on my computer, and I stick them all in a Trello board, so just called Facebook ads. So whenever I need to look at them, they haven't disappeared, because if you save them and the person stops the ad, they disappear from your saved post. So the screenshot is definitely the best thing to have.
Yeah, totally. In my phone, I'll even sometimes remember what month it was. I was like, oh, it's before I did that, and that I got that screenshot. And feel free to take liberty and start not necessarily copying, but seeing how they kind of got your attention. Can you do that? And always putting your best assets forward. Is the product 100% silk? Is it handmade? Is it have you got so many years of experience and that's why you're the best at what you do? Always make sure that you're putting those things in the ads, because so many people hide things.
Yeah.
And they just kind of expect everyone to just know.
So with all this talk of online marketing, are you an online shopper or an in-store shopper?
Oh, great question. I'm pretty much like a mix of both. There's certain things that I love to buy online, homewares in particular. But, I've got funny feet, can never buy shoes, and I don't understand anyone who buys jeans online either. So.
And you can shop really well. I've been shopping with you. You can just go for a long time. You are like slow and steady wins the race when it comes to to real people shopping.
Yeah, but I think you got to be in the mood, and maybe that's why online shopping works so well, because you can be in the mood and just at home and be like, oh, but I buy stuff from Facebook ads all the time.
What's your favorite store?
Online?
Either.
You're gonna just put me on the spot here. I'm just trying to think, because I've just bought like random things lately, like cookbooks and earrings, and is it okay to say that I went to the Byron Bay markets on the weekend and did a fair bit of Christmas shopping?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, because I love to know what it is that always takes you back to that place.
Well, because I live in a small town, I just love being, my favourite place to shop is when I go on holidays or when I travel. So, going to the US, I'll always go shopping. And I also love the memories of that. And then I might go back online and purchase afterwards as well. But yeah, if I go, you look at my wardrobe, I'm like, New York, San Diego, Melbourne, I used to travel a lot as well, and I would barely ever buy anything where I lived. So, and that's why I like things like the markets, because then, people have stuff from everywhere.
We could talk about travel shopping. I'm the same as you. Whenever I go to America, I find the clothes fit so much better for me. And 2, I love the association. No one has ever actually said that before, but I love that association of I bought that in San Diego. I bought that when I was in San Francisco. And I remember every single piece if I bought it overseas.
Yeah, totally. Like I was lucky enough to buy my wedding dress in New York, and I was like, oh, yeah, everyone's like, where's it from? Oh, New York.
And don't you feel so much more glamorous saying that in Australia?
Totally. But they might feel the same about coming, oh, Sydney.
Yes,
you know, what in Sydney?
Australia. Okay, so let's wrap that up because I know that you and I could talk for a very, very long time. If people would love to know more about you, where can they find you?
I'm online at dottymedia.com. And we've got, a ton of freebies and that type of thing. I might even give you a link, Sal, for people to download our retargeting guide where I kind of take you through how it all works and where you're able to create those audiences so people can check that out. But yeah, Dotty Media, everything online. That's DOTTI media.com.
Thank you so much. And we'll make sure to pop that link in the show notes. And I hope that we haven't stressed your voice too much whilst you're recovering from your cold.
Thank you very much for having me, and I do apologise to everyone for sounding so croaky.
It's not a problem at all. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher, and of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.